Captain Taehyun Park wiped sweat from his brow as he stood in the harsh sunlight of Kepler 186f. The red dwarf star cast an alien glow across the landscape, turning the rocky terrain into a sea of rust and shadow. The human exploration vessel Horizon have been their home for the past 3 months, a small bubble of Earth technology floating in orbit above this distant world. "Captain, you need to see this," came Dr. Joo Kim's voice through his helmet comm. The team's archaeologist had wandered nearly half a kilometer from their landing site. Taehyun made his way carefully across the uneven ground. The planet's gravity was slightly stronger than Earth's, making each step require extra effort. When he crested the small ridge where Joo stood, he stopped abruptly. Rising from the dusty plain was a structure that had no business being on an uninhabited world. Massive stone pillars supported a partially collapsed dome, the surface covered in angular markings that were unmistakably artificial. "Is that what I think it is?" Taehyun asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Joo nodded, her eyes wide behind her helmet visor. "It's definitely artificial. We're not the first intelligent life to set foot on this planet." Within hours, the entire 12-person crew of the Horizon had gathered at the site. Drones buzzed overhead, mapping the structure and surrounding area. The building was enormous, nearly 300 meters across, with multiple chambers and levels extending deep underground. "The material isn't stone," reported Minho, their material scientist, after analyzing samples. "It's some kind of synthetic compound stronger than any concrete we have. These ruins have stood for thousands of years, maybe longer." Joo carefully brushed dust from a panel covered in intricate symbols. The markings were unlike any human language. Flowing lines intersected with precise geometric patterns. This civilization was advanced, possibly more than our own. These engravings showed technical diagrams, not just decorative patterns. Commander Suho cautioned the team to proceed carefully. "Remember protocol. We document everything before disturbing the site." For the next several days, the team worked methodically, setting up lights and equipment to explore the ruins. They discovered chamber after chamber filled with strange technology. Devices with no obvious purpose, metal alloys unknown to Earth science, and interfaces designed for beings with anatomy different from humans. On the 5th day, they discovered something remarkable. Hyunbin, the team's engineer, detected unusual energy readings coming from deeper within the structure. "There's something still active down there," he said with disbelief. After all this time, following the energy signature, they found a sealed doorway. Unlike the other entrances, this one showed no signs of deterioration. Hyunbin spent hours studying the locking mechanism before finally triggering its release. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a staircase that descended into darkness. "The air down there is breathable," announced Jihai, checking the atmospheric sensors. "Oxygen levels are similar to Earth. Temperature is stable at 18 degrees Celsius." Cautiously removing their helmets, the team descended. The stairs led to a vast underground chamber illuminated by a soft blue light emanating from the walls themselves. The room was filled with row upon row of crystalline structures, each about the size of a human fist, arranged on shelves that stretched as far as they could see. "They're data storage devices," said Hyunwoo Lee, the linguistics expert, examining one carefully. The crystal glowed faintly at his touch. "Each one holds information, possibly their entire cultural history." In the center of the room stood a console with an interface unlike anything they had seen before. Hyunwoo approached it with reverence. "If I can establish a connection between our computers and this system, we might be able to translate their language." For 3 days, Hyunwoo barely left the chamber, working tirelessly to decipher the alien language. The rest of the team continued exploring and found more levels below, each more astonishing than the last. On the 8th day since discovering the ruins, Hyunwoo emerged from the translation chamber, his eyes bright with excitement despite his exhaustion. "I've established a translation matrix," he announced to the gathered crew. They called themselves the Namari. The team gathered around as Hyunwoo connected their system to the central console. A holographic display flickered to life, showing the image of a tall, slender being with iridescent skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. The alien spoke, and their translation software converted the sounds to human language. The voice was solemn, filled with a dignity that transcended species. "I am Chief Scientist Ilara of the Namari Preservation Council. If you are viewing this record, then our final hope has been realized. Another spacefaring civilization has found our world." The team watched in stunned silence as Ilara explained their history. The Namari had been a peaceful species who had inhabited this planet for over 10,000 years. Their civilization had reached technological heights that humans had only dreamed of. They had mastered clean energy, extended their lifespans, and lived in harmony with their environment. But disaster had struck when their star began to change. Increased radiation made the surface of their world increasingly uninhabitable. The Namari had tried to adapt, building underground cities and protective shields, but the radiation continued to worsen. Our scientists calculated that within 3 generations, no life would survive on our world. Ilara continued. "We began construction of ships to evacuate our population, but time was against us. Our star's degradation accelerated beyond our predictions. Images showed massive ships launching from the planet's surface, carrying thousands of Namari to distant worlds. But Ilara's voice grew heavier as she explained that many ships were lost to solar storms. Only a fraction of their population of billions could be saved through evacuation. For those who remained, we created our final solution, the Deep Sanctuary." The hologram showed a massive underground facility where thousands of stasis pods were arranged in neat rows. Inside each pod was a sleeping Namari. "With evacuation impossible for our remaining population, we have placed 20,000 of our people in suspended animation deep beneath the surface. The pods are designed to maintain life indefinitely, powered by geothermal energy that should last for millennia." Captain Taehyun felt a chill run down his spine as the implications became clear. "The location of the Deep Sanctuary is encoded in this message," Ilara continued. "We hope that whoever finds this record will have the compassion and technology to help our people. They sleep, waiting for a day when they might live again, either on this world when it becomes habitable once more, or perhaps on yours." The message ended, and silence filled the chamber. "Are they saying what I think they're saying?" asked Minho finally. Jiwoo nodded, her expression a mixture of awe and shock. "There are 20,000 Namari in suspended animation below us. They've been waiting for rescue for over 3,000 years. We need to contact Earth immediately," said Taehyun, his mind racing with the enormous responsibility they now faced. Humanity just became the salvation of an entire alien civilization. The revival chamber hummed with energy as Dr. Duyem Kang checked the readouts one final time. 6 months had passed since the discovery of the Namari on Kepler 186f, and after countless meetings, ethical debates, and careful planning, Earth's governments had authorized the awakening of the first Namari from stasis. "Life signs are stable," reported Duyun's assistant, Mina. "Brain activity is increasing." The chamber was filled with Earth's top scientists. Some had traveled from distant colonies just to witness this historic moment. Captain Taehyun Park stood near the back, watching quietly. His discovery had changed human history forever. The stasis pod's translucent cover slowly retracted, revealing the slender blue-skinned being inside. The Namari appeared almost human in basic form. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head with facial features. But the similarities ended there. Its skin had a slight iridescent quality that shifted colors with movement. 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern slowly opened, revealing pupils that adjusted to the light like camera apertures. The Namari gasped, taking its first breath in over 3,000 years. "Welcome," said Dr. Duyun, extending his hands in what the team hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "You're safe." The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as it studied the humans surrounding it. It tried to speak, but only produced a series of clicks and musical tones. "The translation software needs more input," whispered Jinwoo, the linguistics expert who had replaced Hyunwoo on the project. "We need to establish basic communication first." For 3 days, the scientists worked patiently with the Namari, who they learned was called June. He had been a high-ranking ambassador in Namari society, specifically selected for revival if their stasis plan ever succeeded. June learned human communication patterns with remarkable speed. By the 4th day, he could form basic sentences in English, though his pronunciation gave the words a melodic quality. "Your kind rescued us," Jum said during a morning session. "We thank you." Dr. Duyun smiled. "We're happy to help. We have many questions, but we understand you need time to adjust." June tilted his head slightly. "Questions. Good. Knowledge. Shared." The breakthrough in communication came unexpectedly. When Mina was showing June a periodic table of elements, his 4 eyes widened in recognition. "Same. Same," he exclaimed, pointing to the chart. He quickly sketched a similar arrangement of elements, though with several additions unknown to Earth science. "Science is truly universal," muttered Captain Taeyun, watching from behind a viewing window. "The same patterns exist everywhere." With chemistry and mathematics as a foundation, communication improved rapidly. June explained that the Namari had discovered 118 elements, just like humans, plus 7 others only found in extreme cosmic conditions. By the 2nd week, June could explain the fall of his civilization in detail. "Our star began emitting deadly radiation patterns," he told the assembled scientists. "Not detectable from your world, but devastating to ours. We had mere decades to prepare. Most of our people perished in the evacuation attempts." He explained that the Namari had sent colony ships to 12 potentially habitable worlds. They had never heard from any of them again. "Your discovery of us, unlikely miracle," Jum said softly. "Last hope realized." The scientific team conducted careful biological studies of June with his cooperation. They discovered that Namari physiology was carbon-based, like Earth life, but with copper rather than iron in their blood, giving it a greenish tint. Their cells could process oxygen but required higher concentrations than humans and specific trace elements found on their homeworld. "This presents a challenge," Dr. Sioyan, the xenobiologist, told the assembled team. "We need to determine if any Earth environments can support Namari life before we consider reviving others." June provided information about his species' environmental needs. The Namari required atmospheric conditions remarkably similar to Earth's temperate zones, though with slightly higher oxygen levels. They needed specific wavelengths of sunlight and particular soil chemistry to grow their traditional food crops. Computer models suggested that several regions on Earth, parts of the Pacific Northwest, New Zealand, and certain Mediterranean coastal areas, could support Namari life with minimal modification. "Your planet could support our people," said June, his voice filled with hope when he saw the results. "We have slept so long, waiting for someone like you." There was a tense moment when Dr. Sioyan discovered that the Namari reproductive cycle required a specific fungal organism that had existed on their homeworld. Without it, the remaining Namari would be the last of their kind. But then came an unexpected discovery. A research team testing soil samples from Earth found that a rare fungus growing in old-growth forests of the Pacific Northwest was genetically similar to the one the Namari needed. "It's not identical," explained Dr. Sioyan, "but the molecular structure is remarkably close. With some genetic modification, it might work." When June was shown the fungus, all 4 of his eyes widened in disbelief. This impossible coincidence. This is fate. 4 weeks after June's revival, the team decided to awaken a second Namari, a scientist named Yuna who had specialized in ecology. Her adjustment was faster with June's help, and soon the 2 Namari were working alongside the human scientists to prepare for the potential revival of their people. Yuna confirmed something that astonished the human scientists. The Namari could potentially adapt to Earth's ecosystems. Their biology was flexible enough to gradually adjust to Earth's slightly different atmosphere and gravity. Our ancestors evolved in changing conditions, Yuna explained. We retain genetic adaptability. The most touching moment came when Captain Taehyun took June and Yuna outside the facility for the first time. The Namari stood under Earth's sun, feeling alien wind on their faces. June stretched his arms outward, his skin shifting through shades of blue and purple in the sunlight. Your world, beautiful, June said, his voice trembling. Different than home, but could become home. Yuna knelt and touched the grass, watching small insects move through the blades. Life here, compatible with ours. Your insects, not afraid of me. Your plants, I can touch without harm. As they watched the sunset together, June turned to Captain Taehyun. Your people crossed stars to find us. Now you offer us new beginning. We will not forget this. That's what humans do at our best, Taehyun replied simply. We help each other. Now that includes you. Back at the facility, plans were already being drafted for a more extensive revival operation. Earth's governments had begun negotiations about where the Namari could establish their first settlement. Despite differences in biology, appearance, and history, the humans and Namari had discovered a shared passion for science, exploration, and survival. It was the beginning of what could become humanity's first true interspecies friendship. The United Earth Council chamber was filled with over 300 representatives from Earth's nations and colonies. The massive circular hall buzzed with tension as Representative Minji Choi approached the podium. At 42, Minji had earned respect as a fierce advocate for scientific progress and humanitarian causes. Today would test her persuasive skills like never before. Distinguished representatives, she began, her voice steady despite the stakes. We face an unprecedented decision. 20,000 beings from another world await our help. The Namari civilization preserved their last survivors in the hope that someone would find them. That someone is us. Shouts erupted from various sections of the chamber. The representative from the North American Alliance stood. The costs would be astronomical. We have our own people to consider. Earth is already overpopulated, called another. Where would they live? Minji waited for the noise to subside. I have reviewed the scientific reports thoroughly. We have the capability and responsibility to help the Namari. Several uninhabited regions in the Pacific Northwest and New Zealand could support their population without displacing humans. Their technology, freely shared with us, would offset any costs within a decade. The debate raged for hours. Security concerns, resource allocation, and religious objections were raised. Some representatives worried about disease transmission between species. Others feared cultural contamination. Captain Taehyun Park, invited as an expert witness, listened silently until called upon. When he finally spoke, the chamber quieted. I'd spent 6 months with the awakened Namari, he said simply. They are peaceful, brilliant, and grateful. If humanity turns its back on them, we lose more than potential allies. We lose our claim to compassion. After 3 weeks of hearings and deliberation, the council finally voted. The result was close, 172 to 131, with 12 abstentions. The rescue mission was approved. 2 massive transport ships, the Sanctuary and New Dawn were outfitted for the mission. Originally designed as colony vessels, they were the largest spacecraft humanity had ever built. Their cargo bays were modified to house the 20,000 stasis pods that would be retrieved from Kepler 186. The day before launch, Captain Taehyun visited the Sanctuary where he would serve as mission commander. The ship stretched nearly a kilometer in length, its gleaming white hull bearing the United Earth emblem alongside the new mission patch. Human and Namari hands joined together against a backdrop of stars. Ready for this? Asked Commander Dae-sung, his second in command, as they walked through the still empty cargo bay. Not entirely, Taeyeon admitted, but who could be? 3 days later, the two massive ships departed Earth orbit, beginning their long journey to Kepler 186 f. The trip would take 4 months each way. Aboard the ships were specialized teams of engineers, doctors, linguists, and cultural experts, all prepared to help with the massive undertaking. The Horizon *, which had remained at Kepler 186 continuing research, sent regular updates. The team there had successfully begun preparing the stasis pods for transport, working alongside the 3 awakened Namari. Midway through the outbound journey, Lieutenant Jae-won Kim was checking environmental systems in Cargo Bay 4 when he noticed a flashing light on one of the stasis units they'd brought for the journey. These units were designed to temporarily house any Namari who might need to be awakened during transport. "Captain," he called over the comm, "I think one of the stasis units is activating itself." When Taeyeon arrived, the pod was indeed in the process of waking its occupant, though no one had authorized it. "The Namari technology sometimes operates on detection of specific conditions," said Dr. Mina Kang. "They're xenobiologist. This pod may have detected something compatible in our ship environment and initiated the waking sequence automatically." They watched as the pod completed its cycle. Inside was a young Namari, physically smaller than June or Yuna. When the cover retracted, 4 bright eyes opened, blinking rapidly in the ship's light. "It's okay," Taeyeon said gently, using the basic Namari phrases he'd learned. "You're safe." The young Namari sat up slowly, looking around in obvious confusion. Using the translation device, they learned his name was Sunwoo, and he had been an engineer specializing in energy systems. According to the pod's data, he was relatively young by Namari standards, the equivalent of about 25 in human years. "Where am I?" Sunwoo asked through the translator. "This is not home." It took hours to explain everything to Sunwoo: how his people had slept for millennia, how humans had found them, and how they were now journeying to bring all the Namari to Earth. He absorbed the information with remarkable calm. "I was dreaming," he said finally. "All this time, dreaming of stars." Over the following weeks, Sunwoo adapted quickly to life aboard the Sanctuary *. He was fascinated by human technology, which he found both advanced and charmingly inefficient, in his words. He spent much of his time in engineering, where his insights helped the team optimize several systems. Lieutenant Jae-won Kim, a propulsion specialist, often worked alongside him. Despite their different backgrounds, the two found common ground in their love of elegant mechanical solutions and theoretical physics. They developed a system for communicating complex ideas through diagrams when words failed them. "Your FTL drive concept is almost identical to a theoretical model our scientists developed," Sunwoo told Jae-won one day, "but you've solved the radiation problem differently." "Really?" Jae-won was surprised. "Our engineers have been working on true FTL drives for decades without success. Perhaps together we will succeed where neither could alone," Sunwoo suggested. One evening, about 6 months into the journey, Jae-won found Sunwoo on the observation deck, staring at the stars. The Sanctuary * was on its return journey to Earth, its holds now filled with thousands of Namari in stasis. The retrieval operation had gone smoothly, with 5 more Namari awakened to help with the transfer. "Your people crossed galaxies to save mine," Sunwoo said as Jae-won joined him. "We will never forget this." Jae-won shrugged, embarrassed by the gratitude. "It's what any decent civilization would do." "Perhaps," said Sunwoo, "but decency is rare enough to be precious, even across the stars." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alarm. The ship lurched, throwing them both against the viewport. "All hands to emergency stations," came Captain Taeyeon's voice over the comm. "We are under attack." The Sanctuary * and New Dawn * had been traveling through the outer solar system, approaching Jupiter, when 3 unmarked vessels appeared from behind one of the gas giant's moons. Pirates had become a problem in the outer system, where regulation was difficult and resources valuable. "They're targeting our engines," reported Commander Dahi as Jaewon rushed to the bridge. "They want to disable us, not destroy us." Pirates typically captured ships for their cargo and technology. "They don't know what we're carrying," said Taeyeon grimly. "If they damage those stasis pods." The New Dawn had already taken damage to its communication array. The Sanctuary moved to protect its sister ship, but the pirate vessels were fast and maneuverable compared to the massive transports. "We need to reach the defense platforms near Europa," said Taeyeon. "But our engines are at only 60% after that last hit." To everyone's surprise, Sunwoo stepped forward. "Your secondary power couplings are undamaged. I can reroute emergency power through them, but I need access to the main engineering bay." Taeyeon hesitated only a moment before nodding. "Lieutenant Kim, go with him." In engineering, Sunwoo moved with surprising confidence among the human technology. "Your systems are different, but the principles are the same," he explained as his 4 eyes scanned the control panels. "Here and here, we can bypass the damaged sections." When the pirates targeted a vulnerable section of the New Dawn 4 of the awakened Namari volunteered to help repair the damage, donning EVA suits modified for their anatomy. They worked alongside human engineers in the vacuum of space, sealing breaches while defensive fire kept the pirates at bay. "They're risking their lives for ships they barely understand, to protect their sleeping people," Jaewon remarked as he watched the EVA team work. "They are the last of their kind," Sunwoo replied, not looking up from his work. "Every life is precious beyond measure." The battle lasted 3 hours before Earth defense vessels arrived from Europa. The pirates fled, but not before causing significant damage to both transports. The repair work would take weeks. In the aftermath, human and Namari crews gathered in the Sanctuary's mess hall. Despite different biologies, they shared a meal together, humans with their standard rations, Namari with synthesized nutrients that approximated their traditional diet. Captain Taeyeon raised his cup in a toast. "To cooperation across the stars. Today we fought as one crew, one people." Sunwoo raised his own cup in return. "To finding family where we least expected it." Morning light spilled across the rolling hills of New Zealand's northern coast, illuminating the strange new structures that had appeared over the past 6 months. Dome-shaped buildings with spiraling patterns stood alongside more traditional human architecture. Gardens grew with a mix of earth plants and carefully adapted Namari flora. This was Haven, the first Namari settlement on Earth. Dr. Eun-Soo Park walked along the central path, nodding to both humans and Namari as she passed. At 35, she had already established herself as a leading cultural anthropologist before being chosen to head the integration program. The task was unlike anything in human history, helping an alien civilization make Earth their new home. "Good morning, Dr. Park," called Jun, the first Namari awakened from stasis. He was tending to a garden where blue-tinged plants grew alongside Earth vegetables. "Good morning, Jun. The garden looks healthy." Jun's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Eun-Soo had learned was the equivalent of a smile. "The soil bacteria are adapting as we hoped. These plants will produce food within 2 months." The settlement now housed 5,000 Namari, all awakened gradually over the past year. Each day, more stasis pods were carefully opened, their occupants given time to adjust to the shocking news that they had slept for millennia and now lived on an entirely different planet. In her office overlooking the community center, Eun-Soo met with her team of human and Namari specialists. The walls were covered with charts tracking everything from language adoption to nutrition requirements. "The medical exchange program is showing remarkable results," reported Dr. Hannah Kim, the team's physician. "Their biotechnology is remarkable. They've already helped us develop treatments for 3 previously incurable human diseases. And our agricultural methods are helping them adapt their food crops to Earth soil, added Chuno, an agronomist. It's a fair exchange. Su nodded. What about the community events? Are humans participating? The music festival last week had over 300 human visitors, said Yuna, the Namari cultural liaison. Humans seem especially interested in our harmonics. Namari music used sounds beyond human hearing range, but created vibrations that could be felt physically. Human musicians had been experimenting with combining the two forms, creating a new art that neither species could have developed alone. Not all humans welcomed the new arrivals, however. As Su left the community center, she noticed a commotion at the settlement's main entrance. About 50 protesters had gathered, carrying signs with messages like "Earth for Humans" and "Send them back." Security officers kept the protesters behind barriers, but their shouts carried across the compound. "They'll take our jobs. They'll spread disease. They're not natural." Su sighed. Fear of the unknown was as old as humanity itself. The government had tried to prepare people with educational programs, but change always met resistance. What touched her more was the smaller group that had gathered opposite the protesters. Nearly 100 humans stood silently, holding signs welcoming the Namari to Earth. Some had even moved to small homes at the settlement's edge, working as volunteers and building friendships with their new neighbors. That evening, Su attended a community dinner where newly awakened Namari could meet human residents from nearby towns. These events were crucial for building understanding between the species. She watched as a Namari botanist named Doyun carefully explained their sustainable farming techniques to fascinated human farmers. Nearby, human children taught Namari youngsters how to play soccer, adapting rules to account for the Namari's different physical abilities. "It's working better than I expected," said a voice beside her. Su turned to see Captain Taiyan Park, who had remained involved with the Namari project since the initial discovery. "There are still challenges," Su replied. "Some humans fear change, and many Namari are struggling with loss." Speaking of which, Taehyun nodded toward a figure standing alone at the edge of the gathering. It was Sunwoo, the young Namari engineer who had helped save the transport ships during the pirate attack. He was staring out toward the ocean, his posture suggesting deep thought. Lieutenant Jae-won Kim approached Sunwoo, offering a cup of the tea-like beverage the Namari preferred. The two had maintained their friendship since the journey to Earth. They spoke quietly for several minutes. Later that night, Jae-won joined Su and Taehyun at the research center. "How is Sunwoo?" Su asked, concerned. "He's missed several cultural events." Jae-won sighed. "He's struggling. Many of them are, but Sunwoo feels it deeply. He told me, we lost billions, our entire world. Sometimes I wonder why I deserve to survive when so many did not." "Survivor's guilt," Taehyun nodded. "It's common after disasters, but this is beyond anything humans have experienced." "What did you tell him?" asked Gunsu. "I suggested that perhaps he survived to build something new, something neither of our peoples could create alone." The next morning, Gunsu was surprised to see Sunwoo at the community center, working with a mixed team of human and Namari engineers. They were designing a new water filtration system that combined Namari biotechnology with human manufacturing techniques. "This system will be 50% more efficient than either of our previous methods," Sunwoo explained when Yunsu inquired. "We hope to implement it in drought-prone regions first." "What changed your mind about working with the team?" Yunsu asked quietly. Sunwoo's 4 eyes blinked in that Namari smile. "What Jiwon said about building something new, it helped me see purpose in survival. My people cannot bring back what was lost, but we can help create something that never existed before." Over the following months, integration accelerated. 3 more Namari settlements were established in suitable regions around the world. Cultural exchange programs flourish, with humans learning Namari language and customs, while the Namari enthusiastically adopted human music, literature, and games. There were still incidents. A Namari shop vandalized in Sydney, heated debates in world governments about resource allocation, occasional misunderstandings due to different biological needs or cultural expectations. But with each passing month, the extraordinary became routine. News stories about the aliens were replaced by reports about infrastructure projects, scientific breakthroughs, and community events. 1 year after the establishment of Haven, Yum-Su stood on a hillside overlooking the settlement. What had begun as a refugee camp now resembled a thriving town. Namari architectural influences were visible even in the human-built structures nearby. In the harbor, fishing boats designed for Namari crews worked alongside traditional human vessels. "Did you ever imagine it would work this well?" asked Taeyeon, joining her on the hillside. "Honestly, no," admitted Unsu. "I thought it would take generations for true integration." Below them, a group of human and Namari children played together in a park, inventing a game that combined elements from both worlds. Their laughter carried on the breeze, some in human tones, some in the musical pitch of Namari voices, but all expressing the same simple joy. "It's not perfect," Yum-Su continued. "We still have protesters. Some Namari still struggle with adapting. But look at those children. They don't see aliens and humans. They just see friends." Taehyun nodded. "Perhaps that's humanity's greatest strength. Not our technology or our resilience, but our capacity to expand our definition of us." As the sun set over Haven, lights came on in homes throughout the settlement, some housing humans, some Namari, and increasingly, both species living and working together. What had begun as a rescue mission had transformed into a new chapter for both civilizations. The morning sun glinted off the massive hull of the interstellar vessel Unity as it stood ready on the launch platform. 50 years had passed since the first Namari had awakened on Earth. What had begun as a rescue mission had blossomed into the most successful partnership in human history. Minja Park adjusted his uniform as he walked along the observation deck. At 35, he had his grandfather's strong features and thoughtful eyes. As mission commander of the Unity he carried on Captain Taehyun Park's legacy in ways his grandfather could never have imagined. "Final systems check complete," announced the ship's AI in both human and Namari languages. Minji nodded, watching the busy launch pad below. Human and Namari technicians worked side by side, their movements showing the easy familiarity of people who had grown up in an integrated society. Some were visibly human, others distinctly Namari with their blue-tinted skin and 4 eyes. Many fell somewhere between, the children of human Namari partnerships, displaying features of both species. "Nervous?" asked a musical voice behind him. Minji turned to see Do-Yun, the ship's science officer. Her 4 eyes were arranged in the diamond pattern typical of Namari, but her mannerisms were distinctly human, the result of growing up in a mixed community in New Zealand. "A little," Minji admitted. "This is the farthest any Earth ship has traveled." "Any Earth Namari ship," Do-Yun corrected with a smile. "Remember, we're in this together." The Unity was the first vessel of its kind, a true interstellar ship capable of reaching neighboring star systems in months rather than decades. Its design combined Namari theoretical physics with human engineering, creating something neither civilization could have built alone. Down on the launch platform, Minja spotted a familiar figure in a wheelchair. Though 98 years old now, Lieutenant Jae-won Kim still insisted on attending every major launch. Beside him stood Sunwoo, one of the few original Namari still alive. The two had remained lifelong friends and had co-founded the Interspecies Engineering Institute that had designed many of the Unity's systems. "My grandfather would be proud," Minja said, watching the old friends below. "He never imagined that rescuing your people would lead to this." Do-Yun's skin shifted to a deeper blue, a sign of emotional resonance among the Namari. "The first generation laid the foundation. We're building the future they made possible." The past 50 years had transformed both societies in ways no one could have predicted. The Namari population had grown to 3 million, with communities across Earth and the Mars colonies. Earth itself had changed dramatically. Namari Biological Sciences had helped reverse climate damage that had once seemed permanent. Deserts bloomed again, and ocean ecosystems recovered from centuries of human impact. In exchange, human creativity and adaptability had inspired a cultural renaissance among the once demoralized Namari. New art forms, philosophies, and social structures had emerged from the blending of both civilizations. 2-hour warning, came the announcement. All crew to final positions. The Unity's mission was ambitious, a 5-year journey to explore systems identified as potentially harboring life. But its true purpose went deeper. As the first true deep space vessel of its kind, it would test technologies that could eventually allow both species to expand throughout the galaxy. In the ship's main conference room, Binge addressed the assembled crew, 60 humans and 40 Namari selected from thousands of applicants. Today we carry forward a legacy that began with a simple act of compassion, he said. When my grandfather's crew discovered the Namari ruins, they could have simply studied them and left. Instead, they chose to help. He gestured to the view screen showing Earth below, beautiful and blue, home now to 2 intelligent species living in harmony. That choice changed everything. 2 civilizations that might never have met are now one. The knowledge we've shared has advanced both our peoples by centuries. A young Namari engineer raised her hand. Commander, is it true the Unity's sensors detected something in the Andromeda galaxy? The crew has been talking about it. Minja glanced at Doyan, who nodded slightly. It's true, he confirmed. Our long-range sensors have detected signs of what appears to be another civilization in distress in the Andromeda galaxy. The signature is similar to the emergency beacons the Namari left on their homeworld. A murmur spread through the crew. The Andromeda galaxy was 2.5 million light-years away, far beyond their current reach. We can't get there yet, Minja continued. But what we learn on this mission may help us develop the technology to do so someday. The Unity is just the beginning. Later, as final launch preparations were underway, Minjae and Doyan stood on the observation deck, watching Earth grow smaller below them as the ship moved to its departure position. Do you think we'll ever reach Andromeda? Minjae asked quietly. It seems impossible. 50 years ago, this ship would have seemed impossible, Doyan replied. Her 4 eyes reflected the starlight as she gazed upward. If there is another civilization out there in need, we have a responsibility to try. Then we'll help them too, Minja replied with a smile. Together, the final countdown began. Around the world, billions of humans and Namari watched through various media as the Unity prepared for its historic journey. In schools, children of both species drew pictures of the ship. In universities, students studied the technologies that made it possible. In retirement homes, the first generation of humans who had welcomed the Namari watched with tears in their eyes, amazed at how far they had come. Among them, in a simple room in New Zealand, sat Captain Tahian Park. At 102, he was one of the few remaining members of the original Horizon crew. Age had weakened his body but not his mind. He watched the launch broadcast with clear eyes, holding the hand of his Namari friend June, who had been the first to awaken from stasis all those decades ago. Did you ever imagine this? June asked, his voice musical even after 50 years of speaking human languages. Never, Taehyun admitted. I just wanted to help your people survive. You did more than that, Jun replied. You helped us thrive. Back on the Unity the engines powered up, glowing with an ethereal blue light. The result of Namari plasma containment technology merged with human propulsion systems. Launch in 5, came the countdown. 4, 3, 2, 1. The ship rose majestically from Earth orbit, accelerating smoothly as it headed toward the outer solar system. Within its hull, humans and Namari worked together at their stations, monitoring systems, checking trajectories, and preparing for the long journey ahead. As the Unity reached its departure velocity and the stars began to blur, Minja thought about all the events that had led to this moment. A chance discovery, an act of compassion, decades of cooperation and occasional conflict, and finally, a shared vision of the future. The ship's AI announced successful transition to interstellar drive. Cheers erupted from the crew, some in human voices, some in the higher tones of the Namari. As the Unity rose toward the stars, it carried the combined knowledge, compassion, and determination of two species that had found in each other not just salvation, but a shared future brighter than either could have achieved alone. Light years behind them, Earth continued its own journey around the sun, home now to a civilization unlike any that had come before, not human, not Namari, but something new and wonderful that contained the best of both. The end.